The bold and the beautiful. The DNA bombshell that could shatter the Forrester family forever. It was supposed to be another tense, but typical family gathering at Forrester Creations. Ridge had called a meeting, not about fashion or business, but to finally put an end to the whispers that had been circling for weeks. Whispers that began with anonymous notes, private calls from blocked numbers, and a strange envelope delivered to Taylor Hayes' home containing a photo of Sheila Carter holding a newborn baby. That baby, according to the scrawled handwriting on the back, was Steffy Forrester. No one took it seriously at first. It had to be a sick joke, another twisted ploy by Sheila to worm her way back into the family's life. After all, the woman had faked her death multiple times, shot people she claimed to love, and terrorized the Forresters and Logans for decades. Brooke was adamant that this was just another lie. Taylor refused to even entertain the idea. But Steffy couldn't shake the feeling. Something felt off. A part of her had always questioned her past, even if she never said it out loud. Then Sheila walked into the room. Uninvited, unapologetic, calm. She stood there, surrounded by the people who hated her, who feared her, and she said it plainly, "Steffy, I'm your mother. Your biological mother. And I have the DNA results to prove it." Silence. Brooke gasped. Ridge stood frozen. Taylor's entire body went rigid. But it was Steffy who moved first, rushing at Sheila, eyes wide, demanding the truth. Sheila handed her a folder. Inside, a sealed, certified test dated years back. A test that had been altered, hidden, manipulated. Sheila admitted it years ago, during a vulnerable period when she had an affair with Ridge that no one ever knew about. She became pregnant. But realizing that her presence in Ridge's life would never be accepted, she disappeared. She arranged for the child to be adopted by Taylor, who had just suffered a miscarriage of her own. The switch was never documented. The baby was Steffy. Ridge denied it. Taylor broke down. She screamed that it wasn't true, that she had carried Steffy, that she had given birth to her. But the evidence mounted. Old hospital records surfaced. A nurse, now dying of cancer, came forward with a statement. She'd been bribed by Sheila, sworn to secrecy, paid to swap ID tags, and now she wanted to die with a clean conscience. She confirmed everything. The Forrester family was in shock. Steffy retreated into herself. She shut everyone out. She locked herself in her Malibu home for days. Finn tried to reach her, but even he couldn't get through. The woman she called mother, the woman she had built her identity around, was now not. And instead, in her place, was Sheila. A monster. A liar. A killer. Her blood. Ridge didn't know what to do. He demanded another test, and the results were conclusive. 99.999%. Sheila was Steffy's biological mother, not Taylor. Ridge had fathered a child with a woman he hated, and that child had grown up in his home under false pretenses. Taylor had lied, maybe not knowingly, but she had accepted a child that wasn't biologically hers. A child Sheila had placed there like a ticking time bomb. Brooke used the moment to lash out at Taylor. She accused her of covering it up, of building her motherhood on a foundation of lies. Taylor refused to respond. She had nothing left to say. Her heart was shattered. The daughter she raised now carried another woman's blood. Steffy finally emerged, pale, hollow-eyed, changed. She stood before her family and asked only one question, "Am I even a Forrester?" The question cut deeper than anything Sheila had said. She had spent her life living by the Forrester name, defending it, fighting for it. And now it was tainted. If Sheila was her mother, what did that make her? Was the darkness inside her genetic? Was every decision, every fierce loyalty, every impulsive act a reflection of Sheila's madness? She turned to Taylor. Did you know? Taylor couldn't answer. Steffy walked away. She left the company. She resigned from the board. She refused interviews, refused statements. For weeks, she stayed hidden. The press exploded. Headlines speculated about a family implosion. Rumors flew about a power vacuum at Forrester Creations. Eric tried to keep the company afloat, but even he was shaken. His granddaughter, the symbol of the next generation, was now revealed to be the child of his greatest enemy. Finn tried to stand by Steffy. He told her that blood didn't matter, that she was still the woman he loved, the mother of his child, the heart of his home. But Steffy couldn't look at Hayes without wondering what he'd inherited. She couldn't look in the mirror without seeing Sheila. And Sheila? She tried to insert herself. She showed up at Steffy's home. Not unannounced, but smug, with that sick smile she wore whenever she thought she had one. She told Steffy she didn't do it to hurt her. She did it because Steffy deserved to know. Because deep down, Steffy was like her. Strong, fearless, misunderstood. Steffy slapped her, then screamed at her to leave. But the damage was done. In the weeks that followed, the family began to fracture. Ridge distanced himself from Taylor, blaming her for not questioning the truth earlier. Thomas took Steffy's side, but even he wasn't sure what to believe. Brooke used the opportunity to try to bring the family together under her vision. A Logan-led Forrester empire, finally free of the chaos that followed Sheila and Taylor both. Steffy returned 1 month later. She walked into Forrester Creations during a shareholders' meeting, took the head of the table, said nothing at first, then she made a statement. I am still Steffy Forrester. I built this brand. I fought for this family, and I don't care whose blood runs in my veins, because what runs in my heart is loyalty, legacy, and I will not let Sheila Carter define me. Applause erupted, but the war was far from over. Sheila, pushed back into the shadows, began planning again. She hadn't expected Steffy to reject her. She thought revealing the truth would bring them closer. Now, spurned, she turned angry. She began leaking secrets. Private medical files. Financial scandals. Anything to destabilize the family that had once again turned against her. And in the center of it all, Steffy stood like a storm. Torn between the woman who raised her and the woman who birthed her. Between the truth and the family she thought she had. Between the urge to destroy everything and the will to build something better. The future of the Forrester family now rests on her shoulders. And one truth remains. Blood may bind you, but it can also break you. This is the bold and the beautiful. And this story is far from over. Steffy Forrester had faced betrayals, losses, and lies before, but nothing like this. Nothing had ever shattered her so completely. The woman she had feared, loathed, fought against for years, had now claimed the most intimate connection of all, motherhood. Sheila Carter was not just a nightmare from the past anymore. She was Steffy's biological mother. And even with DNA proof, medical records, and a dying nurse's confession to back it up, Steffy refused to let that label rewrite her life. She didn't want Sheila's blood. She didn't want the story. And she didn't want the world to look at her through Sheila's shadow. So Steffy made the only choice she felt she had left. She decided to leave. The announcement came without a press release, without fanfare, and without debate. One morning, as the Forrester family gathered at the mansion to attempt another reconciliation, Steffy arrived with a single suitcase and a signed letter of resignation. She placed it in Ridge's hand, turned to Taylor, and gave her one final hug. Quiet, full of sorrow. There were no tears, just numb resolve. I love you, Mom, she whispered. You are the only mother I will ever claim." To Sheila, who had shown up uninvited and waited outside like a predator circling the edges of light, Steffy said nothing. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even look her in the eyes. That was the ultimate rejection. Silence. Erasure. Finn tried to stop her. He begged her to stay. He told her they could rebuild, recover, reclaim their peace. But Steffy had made her decision. "I need to go," she said, her voice breaking. "I need to find out who I am without this name, without this legacy, without all of it." She kissed her children goodbye, leaving them in Finn's care for now. She promised she would return. She just didn't know when. Hours later, Steffy boarded a private plane with no confirmed destination, just a single instruction to the pilot: fly east. Maybe Paris. Maybe Rome. Maybe nowhere in particular. She just needed distance from the noise, from the press, from Sheila, from the lie that had redefined her bloodline. Back in Los Angeles, the vacuum left by Steffy's absence was instant and deep. Forrester Creations stumbled. Leadership was contested. Brooke and Ridge found themselves in unfamiliar roles, trying to hold together a company while their daughter was unraveling overseas. Taylor stopped attending events. She retreated into her own grief, her guilt consuming her. Thomas grew more withdrawn, furious at Sheila, furious at the family, furious at himself for not seeing it coming. And Finn. Finn stood alone. He visited Steffy's favorite places. He talked to Hayes about his mother. He left her messages every night, even when he knew she wouldn't reply. "We're here. We're waiting. We love you." And Sheila? She disappeared for now. Whether out of shame, rejection, or scheming something new, she went silent. But everyone knew better. Sheila's silence was never peace. It was planning. Steffy, somewhere across the Atlantic, walked new streets under a different name. She told no one who she was. She met strangers who didn't know her past, her family, or the blood in her veins. For the first time in her life, she wasn't Steffy Forrester. She wasn't the heir. She wasn't the brand. She was just a woman trying to figure out if she was anything at all without the name Forrester attached. And yet, the fire didn't die. It flickered. It waited. Because eventually Steffy would come home. But when she did, she would not be the same woman who left. And when she returned, she wouldn't run from her legacy. She would reclaim it. But first, she had to forget everything, so she could remember who she truly was.